illegally.
Shut that off, man.
What am I being detained for?
Shut it off, or I'll turn it off for you.
So what am I being detained for?
You want to get smart and start arguing with me about law?
Yeah, I've been
do
here
this all day. Okay.
And then she left me this car here. She left me this car here. She left this car here.
Shut that damn phone off, man.
Damn, that's a violation of our rights.
No, I didn't ask him to start recording me.
No.
He doesn't have to ask you to start recording you.
Hey!
Several days ago, a man named Lucerio posted this video on TikTok. He was the passenger in a vehicle that was parked on the side of the road, and the keys were not in the ignition. Disclaimer, he wasn't pulled over by the normal police. He was pulled over by the St. Francis Rosebud Sioux Tribe Police. But the behavior we're seeing from these tribal police are not different from the behavior we're seeing from normal law enforcement. Now, there's some key differences between tribal rights and the rights of your normal everyday American citizen. Indigenous people are not necessarily protected by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. However, Congress has the power to establish legal frameworks for tribes. So while they're not directly covered by the Constitution, the government promises that their rights should still be upheld. I see none of that in this video. Now, this channel is not just dedicated to the United States Constitution, although that's the primary fundamental goals we wish to protect. But it is for the overall accountability of police, and other times I've covered stories in other countries, like Australia and Canada to name a few. But this one's special. It's a separate sovereign nation, but it is within the United States of America. This one was a must. And this is one that I wanted to cover, so let's jump in.
You should be sitting in the car while you're drunk.
Now we'll start the video with some pretext. This gentleman is sitting in a parked vehicle. The keys are not in the ignition. He is intoxicated and he doesn't dispute that to the officer. However, the Rosebud Sioux tribal laws are very similar to that of most laws in the United States when it comes to operating under the influence. The keys must be in the ignition to be considered an operator. His keys are not in the ignition. Now, a security guard sees them parked and calls this in to police. So even under tribal law, there's no reasonable articulable suspicion. At best, there's cause for a welfare check. But there's been no behavior to suggest that either one of the driver or the passenger are in need of assistance.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
I put my hands behind my back.
Yep. Hands behind your back. Where's your wife at?
She's in Valentine's.
So when you come get this car, obviously you're drunk. You have full
Yeah,
control
well,
of this car.
yeah. So this is illegal.
Shut that off, man.
What am I being detained for?
Shut it off, or I'll turn it off for you.
This car has been off this entire time.
Yeah, well, you're driving. You sitting in the car. You could have left it.
Yeah, we're in the drive port. So what am I being detained for?
You want to get smart and start arguing with me about law?
Yeah, I've been
do
here
this all day.
Now, this cop clearly doesn't like being recorded. And secondly, he does not like being challenged on the law or his perceived authority. And for tribal police specifically, there's very few checks and balances. There's really not checks and balances within regular American police either. Well, there are. They're just ornamental at best. But we're going to see the behavior of this cop start to change a little. He's even willing to call this guy's wife and allow his wife to come pick him up. No harm, no foul. But then he remembers that someone's recording him. And these citizens' protection of law gets thrown to the wind.
Why does that off? He's the security officer. That man over there. You see that white pickup truck back here? Turn around.
I can see if you're pushing me.
Turn around. You see that white pickup truck?
Yeah.
That's SWA security.
I understand.
He's got photographs of you guys parked back there on that side. That's restricted because it's a health hazard for anybody back there to be breathing them toxic fumes in that sewer. So, let's call your wife and see if she come get this car and you.
Yeah, we can come. We really can call my wife. Because she knows I've been sitting here this entire night because I passed out here.
Okay.
And then she left me this car here.
Shut that damn phone off, man.
Dan, that's a violation of our
No.
rights.
No, I didn't ask him to start recording me.
No.
He doesn't have to ask you to start recording you.
Hey!
So this cop started 0 to 100 real quick, barking demands with no laws broken. Then he started to go lawful and a little bit old school, offering for this man to be picked up by a relative. And then he remembers that he's being recorded. And this citizen's protection under the law don't matter anymore. He goes hands-on with the passenger, tries to steal his camera, and then assaults the driver.
That's not a violation at all.
You're sitting in the car, intoxicated.
Now, despite the keys not being in the ignition, this driver was arrested for violating tribal laws and driving under the influence. Both the driver and the passenger were assaulted by police. But not because a crime had been committed, because he simply didn't want to be filmed. So one thing strikes true for me, whether they're tribal police, town police, city police, state police, police of another country, one thing all police have in common: they're willing to violate you over their feelings. Now this is the Rosebud Sioux Tribe law enforcement in St. Francis, South Dakota. How protected do you think these people are? How safe do you think these citizens feel? Now granted, this is not the normal video I cover where citizens are guaranteed protection under the United States Constitution. However, they're still protected under law, their own, and by the supervision of the federal government. Yet until this date, there's been no accountability and no punishment for the officer that you're seeing in this video. I think we should forget about the jurisdiction that's held here and focus more on the fact that police have victimized another person. And the soil may be indigenous, but they're still your neighbor. They're still fellow man. They're still protected by basic natural rights. Natural rights that yet another police department is willing to violate. When you see lights behind you, you should feel safe. And even the biggest bootlicker and cop supporters out there will tell you that when they see the blue lights flash behind them, their butthole shrinks up just a little bit. Because when those lights go on, you never get a safe, warm, fuzzy feeling. Something good's about to happen. Regardless of who you are or who you support, you always get just a little bit scared. And that right there is the examined gap that can be bridged. Regardless if you're a police supporter or a police accountability activist, we know that basic primal fear exists at the sight of personal police interaction. And sometimes the phone is enough to scare them away. But even if it's not enough to scare them away, it is always most definitely enough to hold them accountable. We'll catch you on the next one, and that's the reason I stopped you today.